this moment to arrive. You were only waiting for this moment to arrive. You were only waiting for this moment to arrive.
Alright, Blackbird by the Beatles. Welcome to the show. Dougie, could you place that on the stand for me?
Yes, sir.
With me, as always, is Dougie. I'm Randy. And this is a show where we talk about the events of music history that happened on this day, May 30th. Because it's May 30th today. And why did I play the Beatles there? Because today just so happens to be the day that the Beatles went in to start recording the White Album. A very, very, very influential album on myself, as well as on Doug. And I figured we'd start off the show by talking about some of the interesting things about the Beatles.
Interesting.
Yes, I thought so myself. The White Album, where to begin? You know what I mean?
Where to begin?
Such classic songs on there, such as Blackbird. The the number 9 song? Number 9.
Number 9.
Do you remember that one? That was a weird one. You might not know that one.
Well,
it was a B-side.
It was a B-side. Not sure off the top of my head.
Now,
Blackbird, I think everyone knows though.
Oh yeah. It's a classic. It's definitely a
Now
classic.
was that just thinking of the Beatles? Is that a Lennon or is that a McCartney song or is it a little bit of both? What's the history?
That's a good question. I believe that is a it's a good question. Thank you for asking. I believe that's a Paul McCartney jam there, actually.
It's a McCartney jam.
Don't quote me on that. That's part of the show. Is that it's all hearsay. Again, it's just our opinions. We, could be factual, could not be factual. The White Album might not have been recorded on this day. This is just what I'm telling you.
We're not really sure ourselves.
Right. This could be fake news, could be real news. What's the difference between real news and fake news?
Well, the source.
Well, there you go. That's exactly it. The source.
Well, speaking of that, we're going back to the McCartney-Lennon thing just as something that piques my interest because now tell me, in the time period, I believe, and tell me if I'm wrong too, wasn't it something like later on in the Beatles' career, Lennon wrote less songs and McCartney wrote more songs? And is that the case?
Well, that's always the big discussion between them. Who wrote the more songs? McCartney or Lennon? They're both considered as the predominant writers of the Beatles, of course. Me, I prefer Lennon myself, but McCartney's great. You know what I mean? As opposed to the exact number, I do believe there is something about that McCartney did write more songs than Lennon.
I think something like that, or at least later in the career of the band.
At least in the Beatles, the time of the Beatles.
Of the prominent songwriter there.
Right, but both, just wrote some of the greatest songs in history. And Harrison was no slouch either. He just came on the scene a little bit later than they did. Ringo, well, he's got the Octopus song, I think, right? Or the Submarine song or something.
Right.
Which is cute. It was
Give him
good.
some credit.
Yeah. But the White Album. Yeah.
White Album.
Very good album. Very Obla-Di Obla-Da.
Obla-Di, Obla-Da.
Right.
I know that one, yeah.
But yeah, the Fab Four. The mop tops, the suits, all that.
Suits, all that.
They had it all. Talent, style. I mean, they really were legendary. Another interesting thing about the Beatles is the fifth Beatle, the man behind the scene, as they call him. Well, there was actually a sixth Beatle, there was a seventh Beatle, there was all kinds of Beatles, there was tons of Beatles running around.
And the structure that made the whole machine go.
Right. Past Beatles, present Beatles, all that sort of stuff. Best, those guys. But the main guy I'm talking about is Martin, George Martin, the man behind the scenes of the Beatles.
Now explain him to pretend like I forgot.
Well, we both have the love of recording music. We both have the recording bug. We mess with recordings. From what I understand, he was the producer. He was the guy behind the scenes who saw what was going on and formed the picture. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're in the studios.
He helped them
a businessman.
capture their image.
Right.
Sound.
He was, they had the image. He was like this businessman, this straight edge guy, looking, but at the same time, he was an artist himself. And the main force behind the recording aspect. And with that came a lot of interesting developments through him saying, well, I want it to be like this. We don't have the equipment for it. That equipment has to be made. And that equipment ended up becoming part of regular recording processes. The whole idea of multi-tracking and laying layers on top of stuff. From what I understand, everything was being recorded to tape and all that sort of stuff. And from what I understand, he came up with the idea of the adjustable speed reel-to-reel machines so that you could line up tracks with each other and all that sort of stuff. Until then, I think it's just the recorder went and you got what you got.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
He ended up saying, well, I want to, who knows what it was, a little knob that slows this one down a little bit.
Right.
This one up. Which then, of course, with, people getting that hippie thing going on, they wanted to slow it down, speed it up, make it all funky, groovy, all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? So
Right.
These little extra ideas that he had, to make things better, caught on with other artists as well and became regular rotation in the studio. You know what I mean? That's just, he sort of set the precedence for a lot of things. So, ended up talking about, the fifth Beatle just as much as the rest of the Beatles. Because, he was really influential as well.
Yeah, they do that even with modern bands. I would say a modern Fab Four personal favorite of mine is Fish. 4 members, but they'll say the 5th member is their lighting guy because as far as their live shows go,
Right.
they have a specific lighting guy who's been with them 30-some years or their whole career, something like that. For a long time, and he makes the show because he's, for example, Fish being a live jam band, every night's different. It could be the same song, but wherever the solo goes, the energy goes, he's he's listening to the band and interacting, and all those lights you see, that he knows his board, his control system so well. He's like part of the band, part of the live thing.
Playing it like an instrument.
That's not the same as what we're talking about with the George R. Martin.
No, it's very similar.
In the recording studio, but it's a similar idea.
Yeah.
But, many bands I think I actually watched. It was actually a Metallica documentary with Jason Newsted where they're interviewing him, and he's elaborating on the behind the scenes people that make the wheel turn of what the ginormous band Metallica is. Because once again, any band that's on a national circuit or a worldwide circuit like that, it's 4 guys, Metallica for example, but it's not just the 4 guys of the band. You got management, you got the road crew, you got everybody behind the scenes that makes the whole thing go.
Right, sure. With any show, it's going to take, a lot of people. Look at this show, for instance. Obviously, there's, hundreds of people behind the scenes working on, bringing this to you, the people.
Hundreds.
Right.
If not thousands. Yeah, but I think in both of those examples, the Metallica example or the Fish example, I think I've noticed them talking about the importance of the longevity of their road crew, how the same road crew, or most of the part, it actually becomes important to the band in their live touring thing to have a consistent road crew that knows the material, and it just makes everything run that much smoother.
Sure.
That's what I've heard.
Sure. Not that we know. Right.
Yeah, I'm not part of the road crew, not myself, but that's what they've said in interviews.
Road crew? Huh?
Roadies?
Roadies? Never heard of them.
Never heard of them. Toadies, I've heard of Toadies.
I've heard of the Toadies, yeah. We could have a whole show on the Toadies, I think. Any sort of 90s alternative rock would make for a good show, I think.
Oh boy.
But, speaking of the 90s.
The 90s?
Maybe it's more the 80s, I don't know. I guess we'll move on to a different topic. Also on this day, May 30th.
May 30th.
Bobby Brown.
Oh,
Bobby Brown released the song On Our Own off I believe, the Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack. Yeah.
Ghostbusters, you really?
Oh yeah, I love that one. That's one of my all-time favorite movies. Too hot to handle, too cold to hold. You call the Ghostbusters and they're in control, having throwing parties for a bunch of children. Well, all the while the slime was under the building, so they packed up the grip, got a grip, came equipped, grabbed the proton packs off the back, and they split. You know that one?
Oh, whoa.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot about Vigo, the master of evil, trying to battle my boys. That's not legal. That song on our own from Ghostbusters 2. Any comments on Bobby Brown or the Ghostbusters? I don't care either.
Well, I think before the show, I actually had to refresh my memory. It's been so long. I was like, Bobby Brown. Of course, what came to mind, Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
He's probably, to the layperson, because 1990s, maybe he's far away for some of our viewers. But I initially say Whitney Houston, and there's lots of stories about the two.
Oh, well, Whitney, I mean, all the two of them, especially Whitney, I mean, obviously she was... She was precious.
They like coffee, I hear.
The stimulants, you're saying.
The stimulants.
Oh, yeah.
Love them, I guess.
Well, that's, of course, one aspect. That's
what
known about them, but I
they were in the
mean,
news
I don't think that should mar their, musical career at all, or
right.
Put any sort of a black mark on there. Well,
of course,
more so Whitney again than Bobby, but yes.
I know Whitney's material much more than Bobby.
Well, certainly, yes. She was quite the singer. Quite the singer.
Oh, she had a wonderful.
She could definitely pull on the heartstrings.
Oh yeah.
She definitely knew how to do that.
And okay.
No, please
do
continue.
it.
That was absolutely lovely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm
You're
sure
welcome.
everyone appreciates that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Bobby Brown,
Yeah.
right? I believe also on this day, May 30th. Wink, wink. Edie Brickell. You know Edie Brickell from the New Bohemians? No? What I am is what I am. You know that song?
I am what I am.
Okay.
That's Elmer Fudd.
Right. That is Elmer. I am what I am. I don't know.
No,
Popeye or something.
No.
Yeah.
Or was that Bugs Bunny? I forget. Or Popeye. One of those.
It's a cartoon character of some sort. But no, her and Paul Simon married on this day.
Really?
Yeah. I bet you didn't even know they were married.
I had no idea.
Yeah, well, it's true. Paul Simon and Edie Brickell. Also on this day, 1990, I believe, May 30th, the band Midnight Oil held a concert in New York City out front of the Exxon Industries in protest of the Exxon Valdez disaster. You remember the Exxon Valdez disaster, Doc?
No, what was that?
Oh, well, there was this oil tanker.
Yeah.
If I remember this correctly, an oil tanker that, called Valdez, Exxon Valdez, or something like that.
There was an oil spill?
Yeah, it released a bunch of oil into the ocean, and
there's been so many of them since then that I'm going back in my memory.
Yeah, that was I don't know. As far as I can remember, that was the big one. The Exxon Valdez. That was a major spill.
Okay.
They show all the videos of the little kids going out there and cleaning off the seagulls because all the seagulls are covered in tar and oil and muck. You ever seen those?
I've seen all those things.
They're scraping off the walruses and all that sort of stuff, trying to get them.
Oh yeah, the walruses
nice
are like,
coat.
thank you.
Yeah. I think it might have happened somewhere around Alaska or something.
The seagulls are like, feed me.
Yeah. There was definitely many an oil-laden seal. Definitely. But yeah, the band Midnight Oil shut down like a whole block of New York City out front of the Exxon industrial plant and proceeded to rock the house, as it were.
Sounds like they were a little inspiration for maybe a Rage Against the Machine show down a few years later, probably. I mean, didn't they do that same thing like in
Right.
No, they did. Rage Against the Machine did that. Didn't they shut down Wall Street or something? And the other one was they filmed
That would make sense.
Testify, the
Bulls on
video
Parade or
Testify in Philadelphia, and they shut something down in Philadelphia. Or maybe Testify was the Wall Street one. I may be getting something backwards here, but I'm just saying chronologically. You're saying this band Midnight Oil had this protest in 1990.
Yeah. They're a big, socially commenting, political commenting
Well,
band.
not
As a matter of fact, the singer, I believe, is on the Australian Board of Representatives or something like that. He, travels from country to country protesting.
Something just happened to the video.
Oh, well, this is the first show. We're going to have technical difficulties like that.
Is it still recording though?
Well, that's a good question. Nobody really knows.
That's-
At this point, we're in technological limbo, Doug. But yeah, that's like right here. We have the ability to, it's always good to have backups. Especially when you're dealing with computers.
They're both recording.
Yes, they're both going on,
Okay.
so that just in case something fails, we always have a backup. You understand?
Interesting.
You never put all your eggs in one basket.
We're prepared at this show.
Yeah. No, this is, like I said, there's hundreds upon hundreds of people working on this show, guaranteeing that it comes out smoothly and comes out perfectly.
Yeah.
So,
Of course.
there's nothing to worry about. You are in
I'm just
good hands with all states.
paranoid of the videos crashing and burning.
Oh,
or
no.
something.
There's
This whole
nothing
conversation.
And I mean, the video, that's supplementary. That's, it's all about the audio. They want to hear what we have to say. They don't want to look at us.
Speak your mind, Randall.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was. But yeah, as we were talking about, Midnight Oil, they had the Beds Are Burning song, How Can We Sleep While the Earth Is Turning? Right, that one. And like I said, I believe the singer does a lot of charity work. They might all, for all I know, but I believe that the singer was, he held some sort of office in Australia and does a lot of activism and charity work and stuff like that. Interesting guy.
Well,
Shaved head.
I do have a question for you. How would you sleep if your bed was burning?
How would I sleep if my,
Yes.
it would depend. It would depend on what I did that day, really. I mean, if I accomplished all my chores, made a couple bucks and felt like I was on top of my game, I might sleep quite soundly on a burning bed, for all I know.
Sounds good.
But I am a big fan of the nice, cool sheets when you get in there, you know what I mean? The nice, cool pillow helps you sleep.
Let me ask you this. This Midnight Oil, we're talking about the 90s, but I'm thinking in my mind, the history of maybe rock and roll and protest music. A specific band, before May 30th, 1990, that comes to my mind would be U2. Didn't they, in the 80s, mid to late 80s, that was when they were more of a politically active band, and didn't they do a similar stunt?
Well, Bono, he spoke his mind a lot, yeah.
I forget if it was the West Cost or if it was New York City, but somewhere in America, they did like some rooftop thing, and they shut a whole street down, and they got in trouble with the police and stuff like that.
I think I do remember something. I mean, I know that a lot of the activism stuff.
It was more like a
Band-Aid as well.
And that was the North Ireland thing back then in the 80s.
Right.
If I'm remembering right.
Right.
They were the most active in. So I'm just thinking if they maybe set the way for later generations of bands.
Yeah, well, I mean, ever since the 60s, obviously, there was a lot of, activism and social protest and social commentary and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I would imagine the Vietnam War was a good inception for a lot of that idea. But I don't specifically remember this U2 thing that you're talking about, where they, or that was in Ireland, you're saying?
No, that's like Ireland was U2's original like political issue.
Right.
Ireland independence, I believe was
Gotcha.
that was a thing, late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
More so in that time period, at least.
Right. And they had a big rooftop gig in protest. I gotcha.
Right.
Rooftop gig, just like how the big Beatles last show was on the rooftop, if you remember that.
Yeah, bringing it all together.
Yeah, and we loop all the way back around to the
So talk about that, because
the Beatles.
Just pretend I don't know.
You never seen that where they're on top of the it's later Beatles. They got the beards going on, more hair. It's not the chop top early, mop top early Beatles. It's that, except for Paul. I don't think Paul. He pretty much looked the same. But yeah. But yeah, they had a big. I believe it was what was it? Radio City Music Hall? Was that where they? I believe.
Maybe.
Don't quote me on that, but yeah, they had a big final farewell concert on top of the roof there of, we'll say, Radio City Music Hall. Could be dead wrong again, but hey, again, this is candid. This is off the cuff. You get what you get, and that's it. But yeah, I mean, just a great band. It all loops back around to the Beatles, and I would say that pretty much brings us back to the beginning, and is pretty much the show that we have for everybody today. I hope they enjoyed it. Tune in. Like I said, this is a bi-weekly show. So, is that right? You say bi-weekly. Does that mean...
That means every 2 weeks.
That means every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
For some reason, when you say that, bi-weekly, it's like, I think, it's twice in that week. You know what I mean?
I see what you mean.
You know what I mean? We do the show bi-weekly. Oh, you do it 2 times a week? No. Every 2 weeks, we do a show. Right. So that's what I mean by that. Like, you get paid bi-weekly.
Right on.
Right. So I don't mean that there's going to be 2 shows every week. I mean, tune in again in 2 weeks to find out more music history news. Thank you, and we'll see you then.
See ya.